The drivers tested North Wilkesboro and claim it's a totally different track. We beat the horse that NASCAR Cup Series needs more horsepower, and Kobayashi's back, and it's not even July 4th. All right, let's get into it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. All right, first things first. I didn't even want to make this, but I'm going to throw this in here because it's literally been the only thing that's been talked about. The drivers want more horsepower. Kyle Larson has come out and said so. Denny Hamlin has come out and said so. Denny Hamlin came out last year and said the same thing. Several other drivers have come out in the past and said you need more horsepower to make this car at short tracks run better. And the NASCAR fans have overwhelmingly agreed with their sentiments. And we're just beating a dead horse because NASCAR has heard this. NASCAR just doesn't care because they're not going to do it. They keep harping on the thing that it's going to cost more money, which even the team owners at this point have come out and said is not accurate. But I do think the horsepower is not going to be the only thing that fixes it. So this is the only additional thing I'm going to add to this, because NASCAR is just not going to budge because they have a manufacturer they think that's going to come in and they want to keep the horsepower low for that manufacturer. So that's really their only position, regardless of what actually comes out of their mouth. So NASCAR is not going to budge on it, and it's just beating the horse. But even if we do get the increase in horsepower, if it's not like 1,000 horsepower like Kyle Larson was basically saying they could easily do, I think it's pretty much going to be a lost cause because the tires are just too wide. And Chase Briscoe even said this after the race this weekend at Phoenix. He said there's just so much grip, the tires don't fall off, and basically it's because the tires are so wide that they're just going to continue to have grip throughout the race. So until they either make the tires way skinnier or they make the tires fall off significantly, there's still going to just be way too much grip. So I don't know, the horsepower thing, it's just we're beating the horse at this point, so I don't know. It's just one of those things that's not going to get any better. And a lot of people wanted to bury Chris Rice for his comments about if we get more horsepower, they'll stretch the cars out. So there's that comment as well that a lot of people had a problem with. But at the end of the day, until we have tire fall off, it's not going to matter. Well, it's going to matter a little bit how much horsepower we get, but until they make the tires skinnier, it's not going to matter. And I wanted to mention Sportsnaut. Matt Weaver had an article in Sportsnaut and said the contract for the wheel manufacturer, which they would have to put a different wheel to have a narrower tire, I should say. So that doesn't run out until this year, so it would be at least next year until they could renegotiate that contract to have two different rims, one with a narrower tire for the short tracks, and so we're at least a year away from getting a short track package that might work, because in my opinion, it's the tire. The tire's too wide. So, yeah, I think I've said enough about this. Let's move on to the next topic. They did a good job. There's still some character. It's still a unique shaped racetrack, which is all good, Logano said. There's a pretty big bump down in turn 1. I think where the wall was out too long and they cut it, it's kind of an interesting area. There's a huge bump leaving turn 4, which really kind of upsets the cars. I don't think that's bad. I'm okay with that. That's something that made this racetrack so cool in the past, was that it had a lot of character. It was bumpy. You were forced to move around on it because it was challenging. That via Jim Utter on Motorsport, an article he wrote about the North Wilkesboro test, and the comments coming from Joey Logano. So the repave, according to the drivers so far, has been good, and it's totally changed the track. Let's look at a couple of other quotes. This one from William Byron saying, I think it being a short track, it would probably be a lot like Richmond when they repaved it. So I don't know. I vividly have seen some of those races, and I feel like it was pretty treacherous. A lot of those guys getting crashes, or would be a lot of restart wrecks, he said. So at first glance, that's not something a lot of race fans want to hear, that it's going to be like Richmond, but he's referring to the Richmond that got repaved. William Byron is. So in that particular aspect, a lot of people don't remember, Richmond used to have some really good racing back in the day. So he's referring to those races back in the day when they had good finishes and things like that. So he is optimistic about the new North Wilkesboro repave as well. So far, 2 for 2, we're looking good. Let's see what Ty Gibbs had to say. It's definitely taken some rubber. You can visually go out there and look at it, right? You can look at how different the line looks, Gibbs said. It's definitely a lot better. I don't know, a lot better. I'm fine with racing the old way or the new way. You just look at the track, it doesn't look like a puzzle. There are some tracks on the schedule that the repave's at that it just looks like a mess out there. They did such a great job here. Kudos to them. So that is another positive comment. So maybe we don't have to fix the short track package for Wilkesboro. Maybe the repave is going to help out that track quite a bit. So hopefully we will get some good racing at Wilkesboro. But I did want to read one more quote from this article because I think Ben Rhodes nailed it the best when he said, "It's not even the same racetrack. And really, when we started the day, never having a truck or anything run on this place to all the rubber we put on it, it's not the same racetrack as 8 hours ago," he said. Following Tuesday's test, "It's changed a lot. I think it's rubbered in well. The challenge is considerable. We came here with a totally separate truck, totally separate package, and totally different way of thinking." So that right there was the comment that I was really, really interested in. And I understand that it's the truck series, but he said it took rubber well. It is a completely different track, and not only that, but he said it's a completely different track than it was 8 hours ago. So I like the fact that the track constantly changes. That means the drivers are going to have to stay on top of it. So that gets me really pumped up for this year's race at Wilkesboro. So, all right, pretty pumped up about Wilkesboro. Let me know down in the comments if you guys are getting excited for Wilkesboro. And finally, he's back. Kobayashi rejoins 2311. Racing for his second career NASCAR Cup Series start as he takes on COTA with teammates Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick, #Team Toyota. That, of course, being the reference earlier, because Kobayashi, used to eat the hot dogs. This is a totally different Kobayashi, by the way. But that was the July 4th reference from earlier. So, yeah, good for him. COTA always seems to bring out the superstars that want to try out NASCAR from the IMSA racing world and places like that. So it is always going to be interesting to see who the ringers are that come into COTA and the other road courses. All right, that is all I got for you on this one. If you made it this far, I would love to have your subscription. If not, oh, by the way, we just went over 11,000. So thank you guys so much for that. That was super awesome. If you're already subscribed, I appreciate you guys as well. If you got a question, comment, or anything like that, leave it down in the comment section. If you want to visit the merch store, link is in the description. You can get sweatshirts like this, t-shirts, hats, and stickers. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.